Hey, today I'm taking you behind the scenes in terms of one of my high ticket sales campaigns, a 14K marriage coaching offer that we're purely selling via email. No sales calls, no webinars, no sales pages whatsoever. We're starting the conversation and ending the conversation purely via email. I'm going to walk you through how I'm thinking about it, how I'm writing up some of the email copy, and how I plan to execute on that offer and why I'm expecting it to do really well. So if this is the first time joining one of my lives, I'm Brian Czekanski, and I convert low ticket buyers into high ticket sales by using purely email. Again, something that most people don't use. Everybody thinks that they need a sales team or sales calls or all this other sales material. I'm going to walk you through today on how I'm doing it, really having a conversation, getting to know our audience a little bit better, and connecting that to a personalized offer that they're more than willing to pay for. And today's just a great example of that as well. So one of the clients that I'm working with, hoping to have this campaign out there sometime before Christmas, but it's a marriage coaching offer where somebody is dealing with some kind of marriage issue. Like the key specific marriage issue that they're dealing with is that their spouse has kind of been, like kind of moved away from the relationship. Either they filed for a divorce, maybe they started a new relationship, any number of reasons. But we have one spouse that really wants the relationship to be repaired, wants to reconcile it as much as possible, wants to stay in that marriage, and the other one has the husband or wife has kind of moved on and is ready to move on. So they're hiring this marriage coach to kind of bring back that unwilling or obstinate spouse to back to the table and hopefully repair that relationship in some way. Most of the clients that have gone through this, that actually go through this offer, have gone through marriage counseling and communication workshops and all number of things to kind of really understand. And what they've gotten from it is they've great understanding what the problems are, but not a great any kind of solution in terms of like how do we repair this relationship, how do we rebuild that connection over time. So the coach that I'm working for has really again, a really specific audience in terms of like what is the specific marriage troubles that they're looking for, and we'll get into a little bit more details on what that looks like. But I think a really great offer in front of a great audience. So in terms of this email campaign, I'm basically I'm targeting anywhere from 6 to 10 people I want to enroll in this offer. Again, it's a 14K offer where this coach actually comes out to their home or somewhere local near their home and kind of sits down with the couple and kind of works out and kind of works through his process of rebuilding that connection, giving them actions that they can take, giving them a game plan on, okay, like, can we get both sides? Like the number one thing is kind of getting both sides on the same page and kind of agreeing that this marriage is worth saving, and then giving them a game plan in terms of like how this actually can be repaired. How can they rekindle the spark that they've had in the past? Go back to their wedding and first dates and all those kind of things. So that's kind of the outcome that we're looking for altogether. So really great offer. I'm going after those buyers that he's got a front end course that is kind of a done with you type of thing, where he kind of lays out some of the actions that he would suggest in this personalized offer. But obviously when he shows up in person, kind of gets a little bit a better idea of what the situation is. It's more of a done for you type of offer that this 14K offer is right now. So he's got this done with you, not as much hand holding, not as much personalization. Great course all its own, but obviously there's a different level depending on where you are in your marriage and what you're dealing with. You might need additional help, and that's what I'm really thinking here. I'm going to get a bunch of those buyers of that low ticket course that just need a little bit more help, a little bit of personalization, obviously working with that obstinate spouse or that unwilling spouse to kind of bring them back to the table and even be willing to save that marriage or kind of have a game plan going forward. So I think that's a lot of where the value comes, is like just getting that other person to actually agree to even listen or come to the table and say like, okay, there's something worth saving here. So that's a lot of the value that we're seeing all together. So again, let me walk you through in terms of like a couple different steps in terms of how we do this via email to get the results that we're looking for. Again, without jumping on any sales calls or webinars or sales pages, we want to give people the information that they need to be really confident in terms of like putting down, that 14K and being really happy with the investment that they made, and have the coach show up, and obviously the hope is that we can revive their marriage and save it and have great a future going forward. So the first part is just kind of getting in front of the email list that he has right now, and kind of presenting that opportunity. So it's an opportunity that they might not even know exists. It's something that he advertises on his website, but doesn't really promote as much to his email list. So first things first is they probably don't even know that there's this more personalized offer that is out there. And I need to put a hook out there that kind of just, think of it as, I used this yesterday in terms of the video, but just think of like, okay, you're standing on stage in front of a full arena. What can you say into that mic that is going to catch people's attention, a certain portion of that arena's attention, and is going to kind of repel the rest of the people? So you can say like, okay, like, attention everybody, like, we're talking about and kind of tailoring it to a specific portion of the audience, and seeing and just getting that hand raised in terms of like, yeah, I'm definitely interested in that, I'd love to learn more. That's all we're trying to do from an email perspective, is really kind of separate those highly motivated people that want their problems, like that this offer really speaks to, without even really speaking about the offer. So like in this first stage, we're not even going to share that there's an offer out there. We're just going to put out a hook that talks about, okay, like either speaking to the pain that they're looking for, or the outcome that they want the most. And I'll kind of show you a couple examples. So first things first is like, obviously there's been a lot of testing in this audience in terms of sales pages and things like that. So that's the first thing I'm going through. I've had clients of my own in the relationship space, but I've also done a lot of research and kind of know that space a lot. So I'm just going to share you a couple examples of what these look like. So, one thing I did is kind of just go back to my files in terms of like, okay, for this particular audience, like what are those sales pages that I know worked really well, and how can I start to think about, like, again, my competition has already done a lot of the testing, they've done a lot of the work. I know these sales pages worked really well. So there is some magic to it. So what I'm really doing is going through these sales pages and seeing like, okay, like what really catches my eye? What are the things? And you can kind of see some of the similarities that as we go through the common threads that are in all these sales pages that I'm going to use to kind of de-risk my process. So again, this is really just a marketing test that I'm going out to this marriage coach. First time we're working together. He's not paying anything up front. I'm taking all the risk here. If it works out well, great. But I'm only going to get paid once the money hits his account. And I'll get into that a little bit more. But again, it's just a marketing test to me, for both of us to see like, how does his list respond to this offer, to this hook that I'm going to put out there. So again, I want to de-risk this process as much as possible. I might only have one opportunity to get in front of his list. So I want to make sure that hook that I put out there, that opportunity, like big idea, that big opportunity that I put out there is my best first step. And obviously, as we go through and have future tests, and hopefully this one goes really well, I can continue to split test and refine those words, refine those specific phrases. Like what I found over doing thousands of split tests, especially via email, is one specific word or one specific phrase can be the difference between an okay campaign and one that just completely blows the lights out. So again, this being the first test, it's probably not going to blow the lights out. I'm probably not going to get 20, 25 people to sign up right away, but that's okay. If I can get a really good result, somewhere between 6 and 10 people spending that 14K and make that within a couple of days, that's a really good result. And it gives me a basis for that next test and getting an idea of what's working well, and obviously having that dialogue with the audience. So, this is the first one in terms of like the secret obsession. Jordan Hall is one of the copywriters that wrote this one, but really kind of speaks to, this one's a little bit more female, to a female audience. But again, thinking about somebody that is dealing with an unwilling spouse, an obstinate spouse, like where are they sitting right now? They're trying to think of like, how can I get that person back to the table? How can I win their love back? All those kind of things. So this sales page really speaks to, again, the key to winning a man's heart, attention, and total devotion for life, and kind of providing that secret. So as I go a little bit further down, it kind of gets into, kind of this unique mechanism. So talking about the hero instinct. So again, for my own offer, I'm going to think of like, what is the mechanism that I can use in terms of what my coach uses in this process to really unlock in that obstinate spouse's mind a way to get them back to the table, to kind of rekindle that love that they're thinking of and rekindle that connection that they want, that they once had. So like, again, having a really great mechanism is something that you'll see in all the sales pages that I kind of show you here. And then he kind of really digs into kind of that scenario in terms of like what they're really looking for. And another thing here, like building on that mechanism, a subtle trigger phrase that was about to change everything. So again, like thinking of like, okay, like if we just do, especially to this audience, if we can do a few simple things, and that's really what the coach is showing up and doing, and working through his process of giving you a little bit, like especially in a personalized manner where he's actually showing up in person. I can give you these simple things that you can do starting tomorrow that can change the trajectory of your relationship, change how the other person feels about you. Obviously, there was a good amount of love and commitment between the two of you before. How can we kind of get that back by doing a few simple actions? So that's really what the mechanism is going to come through, and that's really what I'm going to highlight in the same way here. And then it kind of gets into again how how some of the benefits are working through, and kind of describing like why this mechanism actually works. So that's a key part of what my offer is all about, is like, how does it actually work? Like, for most of my audience, they've kind of tried everything in terms of like to get their marriage back together. Nothing has worked. So I have to describe for them why in spending 14K, okay, this time it's going to be different. We're going to do something a little bit different. It's not going to be anything like you've done before, because it focused on X, Y, and Z, and going back to that. So in many ways, I've got to sell a new opportunity that they never heard of before, that never tried before, and why this is going to be the key difference between what they've tried and failed at, and why this is a new opportunity. So that's one, just to give you another example. Another one would be Chris Haddad has kind of done a lot of great sales pages. Kind of gives me a good sense of like, where would this person kind of be sitting, especially that buyer of the audience. This one: that night I lay in bed feeling worthless and unattractive and lonely and scared, tossing and turning and listening to myself cry, wondering what had gone so wrong. So for a lot of these people in their relationship, maybe there was infidelity, maybe there was a specific action that came through, but a lot of times the relationship kind of just fizzles out for no particular reason. So again, I want to speak to a certain segment of the audience, be able to speak to like, okay, maybe you don't know exactly why your relationship kind of fell apart, but I'm going to meet you exactly where you are. So that empathy is a huge part, especially in the early going, of saying like, I understand you. Here's why this is different, and kind of laying out, teasing out that mechanism as well. Not to go through all these, but again, you can kind of see in the headlines of another sales page. Again, we're talking about that emotional connection. Again, that's something that my audience is really going to respond to. I've got to find my own words to kind of describe that, but I'm using kind of the ingredients that I'm seeing in all these, sales pages here. I even wrote one, like this was one of my first copywriting clients in terms of coaching clients. You can see the headline here: how to make them love you back and commit long-term without lifting a finger, in terms of that. So I've kind of done a lot of, I've had a lot of experience with this audience. I'm kind of using, again, all those ingredients and collecting them. First thing we have to do is kind of present a new opportunity and get that hand raised in terms of, okay, I'm interested in this. This is the right fit for me, and go back to what I'm looking, like what they're looking for, and do that. So once they've raised their hand, and we've kind of narrowed down the audience in terms of like, okay, this is the right fit for me. I'm motivated to do this. Maybe I'm on the right. Maybe I'm on the verge of divorce. Maybe my spouse is in a new relationship or something like that, and I feel like time is running out. Those are the type of people that I really want to speak to first, spending that time and attention. So that's where, once they've raised their hand, I'm going to start getting a better sense of what their story is. And that's where I'm going to, again, do some qualifications. I'm going to send out an email for those people that raised their hand and said, like, I'm interested. I'm going to go back to them and say, like, okay, like what's going on in your story? Other things I would talk about, like, again, this is an in-person type of offer. So we get a sense of where are they location wise, just to get a sense of what travel's involved, what costs might be involved over and above that 14K that we might charge them as part of that offer. And then just feeling like, what are those emotional triggers that might be involved? So maybe beyond the relationship, is there other factors that might be in play here? Do they have kids? Does the husband or spouse own a business? And as they go through divorce, would make it really messy for one side or the other to help to have to sell some of that equity, or any number of things. As you go through divorces, it can get really messy for different factors. So I want to get the full picture in terms of what's going on in their story, and that's going to really help me, especially as I go into that next phase, especially for those people, getting an understanding of like, okay, is this a high priority for them? Getting an understanding of like, do they have an idea of what really caused the relationship turmoil? Was it infidelity? Was it something else? And then those are all, again, the ingredients that I can use when we go to that kind of third phase, is really presenting the offer. So once once I've presented an opportunity, once I've kind of got those people that raise their hand in terms of like, yes, me, I'm interested. This sounds exactly what I'm looking for. I qualify them a little bit. I get an understanding of where they're coming from. Then I'm in the right place to actually put an offer in front of them. And again, in the ingredients that I've kind of asked them for, I've used my empathy to kind of pull out some of those details, all via email. So again, we're not jumping on any phone calls here. We're not, sending them to a webinar, any of those things. I'm going to put a Google Doc in front of them in terms of a personalized offer that kind of echoes back their unique situation, and kind of tailoring this offer to them, letting them know that yes, we do have, this coach does have a personalized solution. He's worked with people just like you, that are in the similar situation, that had similar factors, and he's been able to get people over the line. The great thing about this coach is, again, he's done that in this specific situation. He's dealt with people in infidelity and other issues. So I have a long list of testimonials and things like that. So once I have an understanding of like where they're coming from, I could have 10 or 15 different Google Docs just sitting there based on the conversations that I'm having via email, and put that in front of them. So it can be really tailored in terms of that headline, really echoing back that language and saying like, okay, like this is exactly right for you based on everything that you said. Because again, we're going to work through his process. I've got testimonials that speak to where you were before and the outcomes that you're looking for, and all those kind of things. So like this is what I really love about this process. It's one of the key parts of the qualifications. It doesn't work for everybody. You do have to have a proven high ticket offering that has lots of testimonials and lots of stuff to back it up with. All those things are really an ingredient to kind of get people over the line. But you can see how I'm really taking a lot of the tenets that you would use on a sales call, webinar, or sales page, and using that via email. So again, it might, in totality, to sell this 14K offer, we might have 5 to 10 emails that have gone back and forth between me and that person, and that's perfectly fine. And I'm getting to know them a little bit more. I'm getting to know their questions, objections, and everything like that. And the great part is, as I go through this process, the next time I do, whether it's next month or sometime in 2024, I'm going to have all that great marketing collateral to make my offer even better. Not only in terms of talking about that first stage in terms of the opportunity, but also that personalized offer. Like, again, we have a really specific audience here, but we can get as specific as possible, like the audience plus the offer, and being really specific in that is really going to move up conversions over time. And I think what we're going to see is, 14K, especially for a lot of these people in terms of rekindling their marriage and saving it, is going to be a relative bargain in terms of like what this coach is able to deliver. The fact that he comes to you and gets that obstinate spouse or unwilling spouse back to the table, potentially saves your marriage, or even puts it, even if it doesn't end up in the outcome that you're looking for, it at least creates a more amicable type of relationship, and that can make a huge difference, especially with kids involved and all those other things. At the very least, you're saving a lot less, if you do go through divorce, saving a lot of costs in terms of paying for all these lawyers and going to court and all those kind of things. So there's huge value in terms of what we're looking for here. But again, just kind of want to walk you through, use a real world example that I'm using again in the next 2 weeks, get this campaign out there. Obviously follow up in a future video on how things went, what went right, what went wrong, but just kind of want to show my work in terms of what I'm thinking about, how this process kind of works, how it's actually working for an actual coach right now. And obviously I'll be willing to share results as we come through and do that right now. So if you like kind of this breakdown of what's going on with an existing client, how we're closing high ticket clients via email, kind of walking you through that process. Hit that like button, drop me a comment below, whether it's a question or what really stood out to you. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And with that, I'll see you on a future live.